What is up, guys? Today we are going to talk about this car that I found, and it is one of the rarest cars in the world. A bone stock 2018 Subaru WRX base, and it is the most value for your money sports car you can buy. This is a 2018 Subaru WRX base, and it is bone stock. And because it is bone stock, that means it's one of the rarest WRXs that you can find. Because as we all know, WRXs, STIs, these are the kind of cars that do get modded a lot. It has 21,000 miles, it has a 2.0 4-cylinder turbo that makes 268 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. All of that power goes through a manual transmission and into an all-wheel drive system. Let us start from the interior. My favorite part about the interior is the dash, which is very sporty. As you can see, you have this red and white contrast that just looks very sporty to me. Also, aside from that, you have two screens in here. One is this performance screen that tells you, well, performance stuff, as you can see. And I like to keep it on the turbo gauge, which does tell you your acceleration, your boost, and your peak boost, your outside temperature, and your AC temperature. Now, as you can see, this is just the base model, and it is very basic. You have a Starship inspired steering wheel, cloth manually adjusted seats, basic speakers, and this multimedia screen that does have a reverse camera, which is neat and very useful. There are, though, a lot of plastic everywhere. You'll see that it used cheap materials, and that is not surprising, and that is not really a chief complaint, just because you get this from a rather cheap price, so it's not really that big of a deal. It has 5 seats, 4 doors, and enough space in the trunk to do all your cargo needs. Now, on the exterior, there's nothing really too special or too discreet about it. There are fake vents, and there's this big scoop that is functional for its intercooler. But aside from that, there's nothing really too special about it. It looks decent to me, not very pretty, but not ugly either. And it is styled for its target audience and market. And maybe to them, this will look very pretty. Now, let's talk about performance, which is the only reason why you should buy this car. And for us to do that, let us go on a drive. Now, first thing that I've noticed with this car is the suspension is very stiff. Sometimes that's a good thing, but sometimes it's just not. It just depends on how stiff it is and what it tends to filter out and what it doesn't. So with this one, I do feel the road, and I do feel connected to the road, but I feel like it's just too much. I feel like I'm sitting exactly on tires. Every bump that it feels, I can feel. Let me give you an example. With my Audi S5, yes, you do feel connected, and yes, you do have the feeling of how the road is, but it is still soft. It is still subtle. It is not like you're riding on rocks, you know. It's still comfortable. Now, I do understand that that might be because due to the price point that they weren't able to squeeze enough money to afford more expensive suspension, and that is fine. I don't really see that as a big deal, because at the end of the day, what are we gonna do with the suspension anyways? We're just gonna change it to a different set of coilovers. We're just gonna mod it, and that's just what you do with this car. This WRX is just known for being modded, for putting aftermarket parts in. Now, another feature that I like about this car, and I don't even think you can call it a feature, is you can turn off the traction control easily. It's just a push of a button, and it only takes 2 seconds. It's very much unlike my Audi that takes 5 seconds for you to completely turn it off. This one, just push the button, hold it for a couple seconds, and you're done. And that is good. And once you turn off that traction control, that is when you start to have fun. And especially with the all-wheel drive system, good tires, it's just endless. Especially here during the winter. Right now I'm driving on snow, driving on ice. It's just so much fun with enough horsepower, not too much, not too little, just to have fun. And I think that is the essence of a driver's car. You don't need 700 horsepower to drive on roads, even on regular roads, icy roads, snowy roads. You're just wasting all that power. It's just gonna spin your wheels or burn your tires or whatnot, and it's too much. This with 260 horsepower is more than enough. It is up to the point where you can put your pedal to the metal and have all the fun you want. You can slide your tail out, do all that, and still be confident enough that it's not gonna kill you. All that grip that this car is gonna provide you is just gonna inspire confidence to drive even faster. So I do understand the fact that there's higher trims for this car, and also the existence of the WRX STI. But what I do not understand is, why would I spend all that money? Why would I spend all that money just to have heavy leather automatic seats or heated seats, heated steering wheel? That all that stuff is just gonna make the car heavier, and also all that stuff is gonna become irrelevant once you start to actually drive, once you start to actually have fun. It's just, you're gonna forget about it, trust me. You're not even gonna notice that your headlights are not HIDs or whatnot. That's what makes this car the best value. Because at the end of the day, like what I said, you're gonna mod it anyways. You're not gonna keep this stock. And I'd rather save that money, you know, from getting leather seats or whatnot, into buying new exhaust, buying new coilovers. It is something that, it's a budget sports car, and you have to keep it at that level. You have to keep it in that budget and buy parts as you can. I do believe that's the essence of what a budget sports car is, and I do believe that this is the perfect budget sports car. And the case with the STI. If I am going to spend $40,000 on a car just to make the WRX a little bit faster, or even if it's a lot faster, it's still a WRX STI. If I'm going to spend 40 grand, I'd rather buy myself an M Performance X-Drive BMW. Now, this car does great gas mileage. It is very reliable. It has that Japanese reliability coupled with the warranty. I don't think you can ever go wrong with this car. The 2018 Subaru WRX is one of the most value for the money car that you can buy. The only downside to it is because it's so good and it's so cheap that there's gonna be a lot of it in the streets. And there is a lot of it in the streets. Aside from that, if you can live with that and you can customize your car and mod it to your own liking and to make it special to you, then yes, go ahead and buy it. With that being said, please like and subscribe, comment down below if you do agree or disagree with my review on this car, and see you on the next one.